Good evening and welcome to tonight's neighborhood meeting. My name is Celeste Kitsemetry and I'm a senior planner with the city's Development Services Department. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to present to you the neighborhood, a development concept being considered by Sobeys Capital Inc. and presented tonight by representatives from MHBC Planning for the property known as 651, 659, 665, 669, and 673 Mapleview Drive East. Prior to the formal development application being submitted to the city, this meeting provides an opportunity for the development team to hear initial community feedback and to incorporate it into their plans prior to making a full and formal development application to the city. I believe we have approximately 13 participants on the call for tonight's meeting, including Ward Councillor Sergio Morales. Thanks to all for attending. Please be aware we are recording this meeting for the public record. The recording will be used for the purpose of garnering your input and to respond to inquiries and will be considered public information. Please also be aware that as a registered attendee tonight, your mailing and email address will be added to the mailing list so that you can receive further information about this application as it progresses. Should you have any questions regarding this collection, please contact the Development Services Department. I would like to also let everyone know that there are staff behind the scenes managing the technology tonight. They're here to make sure the meeting runs smoothly, to grant participants the opportunity to speak, and to assist with any questions in the chat. Please bear with us if we have any issues. And if for some reason you get disconnected, please feel free to log in again. The intent of tonight's meeting is to provide members of the public with an opportunity to become familiar with the development application and the planning review process, and to also ask the applicant questions and provide feedback. You can expect tonight to hear a brief overview of the city's review process and timing, a presentation from the applicant's representative describing the proposal, and you are given an opportunity to ask questions of either the applicant or city staff and provide comments or identify concerns with the application. What not to expect tonight is city staff recommendations on the application or a detailed analysis on the proposal, as this will occur later in the development review process. Nor will there be a debate on the merits of the proposal between city staff and the applicant. Before we get into the presentation, I just want to quickly highlight the next steps in the application process. This neighborhood meeting is established early in the development process to ensure local concerns are incorporated or addressed through the city's review. After this meeting, we expect that the applicant will make a formal application submission for this development project. Formal submissions undergo a full technical review and must address comments received from the neighborhood meeting, from the city's technical departments and external agencies, and from members of the public more broadly. In conjunction with this, a statutory public meeting will be held on the application at Planning Committee. At a public meeting, applicants present their application to council, answer questions, and provide an overview of and response to any issues or concerns identified during the neighborhood meeting. As part of the public meeting, members of the public will also have an opportunity to provide verbal or written comments. Following a public meeting, staff will continue the technical review process and the applicants will make any necessary revisions to the development proposal. Once the review process has concluded, a staff recommendation report is brought forward to council for their consideration. All comments received throughout the review process, including those received at the neighborhood and public meetings, are identified and addressed in the staff report and form part of the staff's recommendation on the subject application. I will now move on to the applicant's presentation, and as I mentioned, the proposed project and application will be presented first, which will be followed by a question and answer period. And I will now pass it over to you, Catherine, to start your presentation. I understand it is pre-recorded, so I will just pass it to you to move on.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to tonight's neighborhood meeting. My name is Catherine Rauscher, and I am a senior planner with MHBC Planning. As Celeste mentioned, tonight's meeting focuses on the proposed redevelopment of the site located at 651, 659, 665, 669, and 673 Mapleview Drive East. We are pleased to share some information on the proposed development on behalf of our client, Sobeys. With me tonight is Oz Kamal, partner at MHBC, and Phil Busby, the Director of National Development for Sobeys. Tonight's meeting focuses on our proposed zoning bylaw amendment that will be submitted to facilitate the site's redevelopment. The application focuses on introducing new commercial uses on the site, including commercial retail and a food store, in order to facilitate the comprehensive development of the lands. Before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, which include the Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge the Wendat Nation, who occupied these lands prior to the middle of the 17th century. We honor Indigenous history and culture and recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples on this land. I would like to now provide an overview of what we will be covering in our presentation. First, we will introduce the site in terms of its physical context, location, and surrounding uses. Next, we will provide an overview of the site's policy context in both provincial and local planning instruments. Next, we will provide an overview of the proposal, including a summary of the proposed zoning bylaw amendments. We will then provide an overview of the technical studies that have been prepared in support of the application. Following that, we welcome any comments or questions members of the public may have. Let's begin with an overview of the subject site. The site is addressed as 651, 659, 665, 669, and 673 Mapleview Drive East. The site is located on the southwest corner of Mapleview Drive East and Yonge Street and is approximately 3.35 hectares in size, with about 315 meters of frontage along Mapleview Drive East. In terms of site context, the subject site is currently vacant and occupied by a wooded area. The site is well connected to the broader road network. Direct access is provided to Mapleview Drive East, which is identified as an arterial roadway. Yonge Street is located to the east of the site and provides a north-south connection throughout the city. As you can see, most surrounding sites are developed with 1 to 2-story buildings. When taking a more detailed look at the surrounding land uses, the surrounding area is generally characterized by a mix of commercial, institutional, and residential uses. Commercial areas are located to the east of the site, including Paul's Auto Body Shop and Scotiabank, as well as to the north with vacant lands zoned for commercial. An institutional use, St. Paul's Anglican Church, is located to the east of the site. To the south of the subject lands are low-rise residential uses. The lands to the west are currently vacant, with recent approvals for a townhome subdivision. The site is serviced by local transit, including the 3B Barrie South and 68 Aurora Go bus routes. In terms of policy, land use on the subject site is governed by a number of policy documents at the provincial and local levels. At the provincial level, we have the PPS and the Growth Plan. These policy documents support new development that intends to provide a complete community in designated greenfield areas. Although the site is not within an area regulated by the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority, it is located within the Lake Simcoe watershed and subject to the Lake Simcoe Protection Plan. At the local level, the subject site is designated as mixed-use nodes and corridor under the City of Barrie's official plan. It is further designated as Yonge Street Mixed-Use Corridor under the Hewitt Secondary Plan. The subject site is zoned Agricultural General Zone within the Innisfil Zoning Bylaw 054-04. Taking a deeper look at the city's current official plan, the site is located in the city's settlement area boundary. The map shown here is Schedule A to the city's official plan showing land use designations. The site is designated as mixed-use nodes and corridors under the parent official plan. The subject lands are further designated as Yonge Street Mixed-Use Corridor in the Hewitt Secondary Plan. The predominant use in the Yonge Street Mixed-Use Corridor is high and medium-density residential uses such as stacked townhouses, back-to-back townhouses, street townhouses, and apartments. Additional uses include senior citizens housing and assisted and special needs housing, live-work developments, office uses, institutional uses, ground floor retail, and service commercial uses. Retail and commercial uses in this designation are not to exceed a combined total gross floor area of 45,000 square meters. The City has been in the process of updating their official plan. City Council approved the draft official plan this past Monday the 14th. In this official plan, the site is located within a major transit station area and a designated greenfield area. The map shown here is Schedule A of the city's draft official plan, showing land use designations. The site is designated as Commercial District. The predominant use in the commercial district is retail, commercial, office, community facilities, public service facilities, institutional, health services, mobility hubs, assisted living and supportive housing, and residential as part of a mixed-use development containing retail or commercial uses. Looking at the city's zoning bylaw, the subject site is zoned Agricultural General Zone, which allows for a range of agricultural uses but does not permit retail or other commercial uses. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment will rezone the subject lands from Agricultural General Zone to a General Commercial Zone. The General Commercial Zone permits a range of commercial uses including retail stores, which include food stores, restaurants, and convenience retail. Also permitted are offices, childcare, and personal service stores. A future zoning bylaw amendment application will be submitted to facilitate the development of the site. A site plan application will follow at the appropriate time. Our client is proposing to comprehensively redevelop the site into a mixed-use development through phases that are consistent with the approved minutes of settlement from May 2016. The first phase consists of 6 single-story retail buildings throughout the property. The retail buildings will be anchored by a proposed food store under the Sobeys banner. Access will be available through both Mapleview Drive and Yonge Street. It is proposed that there will be an overall gross floor area of over 7,000 square meters, with approximately 443 parking spaces. Shown here is Building A, proposed to be a one-story standalone food store with approximately 38,000 square feet. Shown here is the proposed elevation for the food store. Shown here is Building B, a one-story multi-tenant retail store with approximately 8,400 square feet. Shown here is Building C, a one-story multi-tenant retail store with approximately 9,600 square feet. Building B and Building C will have relatively similar elevations and are shown here. Shown here is Building D, a two-story built-form multi-tenant retail store with about 7,200 square feet. Shown here is Building E, a two-story built-form multi-tenant retail store with about 7,800 square feet. Building D and E are proposed to have a two-story built form and be similar in style as shown through these elevations. Finally, here is Building F, a one-story single retail store with approximately 5,400 square feet. Building F will maintain a similar style to the balance of the buildings as shown on this slide. The proposed landscape plan, shown here, highlights the pedestrian pathways and seating areas that will be available on the property, linking each of the buildings and providing safe access throughout the parking lot. Most notably, the intersection of Mapleview and Yonge Streets will have a seating area incorporated around a planted meadow, allowing visitors a place to interact and engage. With this amendment, the technical studies shown here will be submitted in support of the application. These studies will be reviewed by the City and various commenting agencies. The future site plan application will require additional materials to be submitted at the appropriate time. This concludes our presentation. We'd be happy to take any questions or comments at this time.